So as I was saying, my name is Paul, CognosPaul. I've been working with Cognos now for about more than 15 years. And I like breaking it. This is a hands-on session. You can follow along through your laptop or you can just watch the screen. It's good. And we even have these fancy slides set up. But they have not been sent to me, so I'm not... Oh, here it is. We did have these fancy slides set up, but I do not have them on my laptop, and the Wi-Fi is downloading them very slowly, so I think I will skip them. So let's start. I will switch the screen over to duplicate. You can see my screen? Excellent. So, what is Cognos? IBM will tell you that Cognos is a business analytics platform. It's got smarts, it's got a billion graphs, it can do this, it can do that. But at the end of the day, Cognos is an HTML generation platform. You have numbers in a database, and Cognos spits out HTML. Everything else is gravy. So, because it's HTML, because it's essentially building a web page, we should be able to use modern JavaScript techniques to make things work better, to make the reports work the way that people would expect a report built in 2019 to work. So we've got fancy sliders, we've got searchable prompts. Let's see, Canada, we can check all matching. We've even got a searchable tree prompt. Let's do multi-select. There we go. So we have all of these fancy techniques that are really easy to set up. We can also disable or remove the prompts just like that. Nice and easy. But the same logic can also be applied to Report Studio. After all, this is HTML. It's a web page. It's a web application. So all of the things that we can do in a report, sliding, fancy JavaScript controls, we can also do in the application itself. Before I continue, I will tell you that I am expecting questions. Don't hesitate to ask. Don't hesitate to heckle. Go ahead whenever you want.
Well, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
You know there was some issue between 10 and 11 with JavaScript and interactive mode?
Yeah.
The stuff you're showing today is all compatible with interactive mode?
This is all interactive mode stuff. So the custom controls that I have are designed for interactive mode. These will not work in the non-interactive C10 version. I do have some similar controls that I've written that I have on my blog, but I'm not even going to be talking much about the report controls. I'm going to be talking more about the things that I've added to Report Studio to make it a little easier to use. Anything else? No? Okay. Oops. So the first thing that I built, I call the Clipboard Editor, Edit Clipboard. I'm sure we've all had cases where we have a fancy crosstab built and we simply need to replace the node, product line to order method. Now, we've got formatting on the crosstab intersections, and it's really easy to cut out the node, hello, and replace it with order method type. But when we run it, all of the formatting on the intersections have disappeared. It's all gone. And it would be a lot of work to put those two quick things in that I've done. So it's not a really good solution. And unfortunately, on the crosstab node member, there's no way to replace the item. So what can we do? We can cut that out. If we were using Internet Explorer, which is no longer supported and not recommended, and nobody should be using Internet Explorer, I think you know who I'm talking to. Well, you could use Internet Explorer to do this. We can also use the new extension that I wrote, the Clipboard Editor. And this has the XML of the object that we just copied. So we can do product line, replace with order method type, find and replace, place one instance, finish, and paste that back in. The formatting is still there, and for all intents and purposes, this is order method type as it appears in the query. When we run it, slow Wi-Fi. Works great. Formatting is still in place. It was exactly as if we built it the way we were supposed to originally. The same use case, Edit Clipboard, can be used in a lot of different places. If I can remember where they put it, which I can never do, manage conditional styles. We can copy pretty much any element. Edit Clipboard. This is the conditional style. We can make changes to that, paste it in. We can even paste it in between reports. I could build a new report, copy the conditional style from here, paste it into a new one. In 11.1, IBM released a new way of copying assets from report to report, but you don't have access to the XML that it copies, and it's never worked for me. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry, IBM. I've also used this a lot with the classes. For instance, I have in this one, position absolute. Positioning is not an option that's available here. So how can we set a style that doesn't exist? Well, copy, tricks, edit clipboard, position absolute. Let's do background color red, finish, paste it back in, and now we have a red position absolute style that we can apply to any element in the report. There is one caveat with this. The PDF generator in Cognos doesn't work with any CSS3 styles. So be aware that one of the reasons the styles here are so limited is because IBM is using a very, very old PDF renderer. Another thing to add onto the list, anyone from IBM here? No? Okay. As I said, we can copy from report to report. This is simply text at the end of the day. We can copy that, open Notepad++, paste it in, make any changes. We go to a new report, just paste it back into here, finish, and you're done. You just paste it wherever you want in the report. It's nice and easy, and it makes life a lot easier in the future. Before I go on, is there any questions? Go ahead.
I'm kind of confused.
Mhm.
This looks really great, all the places where you can do those quick replaces right in the XML, but
Yeah.
is this something that is this something PM Square offers, or is
Yeah.
something like, is it an add-on or something?
It's an extension that I wrote for Cognos.
Okay.
PM Square is offering it for free on the website. Might as well show that
Does
right
your
now.
administrator have to do it, or does a user do it?
An administrator has to install the extension, but once it's installed, any report author can use it. It's only active for the authoring perspective.
Okay.
So if you're running a report as a regular end user, you won't see it.
I'm so glad my administrator's sitting right in front of me.
So how does this interface with other extensions?
What do you mean?
Sidetrack. How does this interface, because you can only have one extension installed at a time?
No.
No.
You can have as many extensions as you want.
Paul, can you say the question back? 'Cause it's
Okay.
hard to hear from the back.
The question was, how does this interface with other extensions? This works great. I've actually installed on my personal instance of Cognos something like 5 or 6 different extensions. I have this menu. I have a couple of others that I'm working on that I'm not going to be showing now, but I will talk about. And
Used with something else in there.
yeah, if
Else.
you've seen any of the Thrive stuff, there's another Thrive extension that appears right here.
Right.
It'll work just as well with it.
Okay.
The extensions work by adding elements to the portal. All right. Any other questions before I move on? Awesome. I'm doing great. The next one that I've built is the parameter editor. Who here has actually built reports? Awesome, most of you. So when we're building reports, there are often times when we want to set certain parameters. So we run the report, it immediately goes to what we want when we do it. A lot of the times, the easiest way to do it is to go into here, click on Generated SQL, and it will prompt you. You click Finish, and it saves the parameters that you've selected. That is not as easy as I would like it to be. So let's take this as, since it's already up, we'll select 2010 and Canada and France. Finish. The perspective is still authoring, so we still have the tricks menu, but now we can see all of the parameters that are set in the report, and we can change them however we want. Oops, mock. So right now we have 2010. I'm going to add 2011 as well. And from here, from this menu, I can do finish and run. So now we have 2010 and 2011 selected. This also works from inside a query. So if we run a query in tabular mode, we can see here that I have dim1 selection as the parameter name. I can view tabular data. We're prompted by default, I think it selects order method type. We can edit the parameter. We can give it a value. Let's do product line, finish and run. That works. We'll do product hierarchy, finish and run. Oh no, it broke. It's almost as if someone intentionally put something that would break it in that place. Hint, it was me. Fortunately, this still works. We can change this to month, and it still works. The same thing can be done inside Report Studio itself. So we can do edit parameters, dim1 selection, we'll do month, finish, and now when we try running the query, it will remember the parameter that we've selected. Hopefully. There it is. And every time we run it, it'll be preset to month. This makes life so much easier when you're doing development. If you're an author and you're drilling from one interactive report to another, the perspective will still be authoring, and you can use that in the target report to see the parameters that have been passed. And again, the way it's set up, you can add or remove different rows. We can add a new parameter that we want to try using, and we can add additional ones to existing parameters if they're set to multi-select. Are there any questions? Go ahead, sir.
How's this different from building a custom prompt page?
How is this different from building custom prompt page? Custom prompt page still relies on the interface in Report Studio. So you still need to run the page. You still need to be able to select the elements inside those prompts. If you want to, you can absolutely do that. But I find this is much faster and easier because we immediately see all of the parameters that are existing in the page, even the ones that we may not have prompts for. And the finish and run can be used in, as you saw, in the view tabular mode, which doesn't have prompts. Anything else? I'm doing really good, no questions. All right. Now, sometimes when you are building reports, you might click the wrong place, and oh no, a window popped up, and I can't close it out. And if you're like me, you might have been working for a couple of hours, and this happens, and you're stuck. You've done something wrong. All of the work that you've put in is gone forever. You can't save it. And the only thing that you can do is go to the bar and drink. Genius Bar downstairs right after this. No. If you're in Chrome or in any other inferior browser, you can usually press F12, and this will open the console. And there's a super secret trick. Glass App Controller. Glass App Controller is actually the API for Report Studio. Dot. Unlock glass. It's a function, so open close parentheses. We're saved. The save button now works. Save as. I strongly recommend immediately saving, closing, and reopening because when this happens, Report Studio is unstable. Save it, save your changes, close it, reopen Report Studio, and don't click on that place again. By the same token, if you have a coworker that's really annoying you, that you just don't like for some reason, maybe he stole your sandwich out of the fridge, glass app controller dot lock glass. Oh, it's locked. He can't do anything. All right. So we're about halfway through. Any questions so far?
Yeah, can you embed that into a report and make it user specific?
If you want to make it user specific, there are tricks you can do for that, but you need to be an admin.
I am.
Okay. So because I like that question. Oh, fine.
I'm asking for a friend.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is that you have customization in here, and you can set individual buttons for individual roles. And yeah.
Okay.
Now, I obviously wouldn't show you this, you know.
Take your champion badge away.
Okay,
Well,
fine.
we don't have any IBM people in here.
Yeah. Right? Nobody's from IBM here? Okay. So these are the extensions that I've written so far. They are still in development. I'm going to be adding new features eventually when I get around to it. And they also rely on working with the Cognos API. IBM has never published anything about the internal API, and IBM absolutely refuses to support any JavaScript that works with it. So while this works for versions 11.0.4 all the way up to 11.1.3, I can't promise that IBM won't turn around and make it not work in the next version. I don't think they'll do it, simply because once they've got something working, IBM never, ever, ever throws it out. But just so you know, I take no responsibility if this destroys your server. The extensions themselves can be downloaded at pmsquare.com/freebies. It's a free download. You just need to click on free download and wait for the slow Wi-Fi. And you just need to put your email address in. We're going to be sending you marketing emails. So, just hit spam on those when you get them. For the admins, installing the bag of tricks is super easy. In fact, I will delete this one just so you see how easy it is. Close the report. Clear the cache. All right. So, oh, it's still in the cache. Okay. Ignore this. This is not here. It's still in the cache because I haven't logged out. But it is super easy to install. You go to Manage. You go to Customization. Wait for the Wi-Fi. Click on Extensions. Click on Upload Extension. And you select CognosPaul Bag of Tricks. Bag O Tricks. And that's it. The next time the user clears his cache, close that, and opens a report, it will magically be there. Sign out, because that's embarrassing. Who was here 2 years ago? Remember the Wi-Fi not working 2 years ago?
Just switch to the millions, or to the small.
Yep. Connect automatically.
Let's go to the second one.
PM square. Next. No. Nope. Okay. Let's see, 1,000,002. Connect. This is a clever ploy to use some minutes. There we go. Let's try again. Control F5. Well, while this is not working, I will take some questions.
Try the second Arlington one. That's the one that for me has been working the fastest.
Oh, hold on.
Nobody else.
Well, we also.
I was saying,
Cognos
I haven't
mentioned
tried.
Yeah. While this is taking its merry time, and while I try all the different millions, I am on 1,000,002.
No, the second, there's two Arlington ones. The one that has the
Yeah, I'm on 1,000,002.
Yeah, there's
Go
an
real
Arlington
fast.
fast
one
pass.
right
Oh.
under million.
Here,
Oh,
you
Arlington.
can take some questions and I'll answer.
Yeah.
I'll fix your one.
Go ahead. All right. Are there any questions? I know that some of you. Go ahead, sir.
JavaScript related. For 11.1.3, is there any JavaScript improvements that we should know about? Anything from, let's say, 11.
The API, the prompt API is still the same. If you're going to be working with the Report Studio API, I haven't seen any changes. The function that I just showed you that says lock and unlock glass, that used to be called hack unlock glass and hack lock glass, but I think they changed the name because nobody likes to see the word hack anywhere. But other than that, everything's been pretty much identical.
Has this been tested across all browsers?
I have tested it in Firefox, in Chrome, and in IE. I've had a lot of problems with IE, especially in 11.1.3, but that's not related to my extension. It's related to the fact that Internet Explorer hasn't been updated in a long time. But I've also tested it on my phone browser, which is a version of Chrome. Go ahead, sir.
So when you copy a report to Clipboard and open it in a new Report Studio window, when you try to save it, it tries to replace the report object ID with a new ID.
Yeah.
Is there a way to retain the old object ID so I don't lose my...
Yes, there is. The question is, when you copy your reports to Clipboard and you try to save over it, it will replace the report ID. There is a way to stop it from replacing the ID. It's an administration setting. under the, any luck?
Yep.
It's an administration setting. I don't remember off the top of my head where it is, but it's one of those that you go into System and Dispatcher, Report Service, Advanced Settings, and it's one of those. If you come talk to me at the Genius Bar after this, I will try to look it up. Yes, sir.
Is it a variable you have to set?
Sorry?
Like a system, like a variable you have to set, like a parameter?
It's a parameter in the advanced settings.
Yeah, so it's not just there, you have to like know.
Yeah, you have to know what it is and where to set it, and I can never remember off the top of my head.
Just Google it.
Yeah, I just Google it. That's exactly what I would do. Yes, Randy.
So Paul, a presenter in an earlier session
Mm-hmm.
indicated a good question for you might be not related to Report Studio, but the interface for data sets, making it look like Report Studio, is that something you can share with the group?
Okay. Let's find a data set.
There should be, if you go to team content and go to, demo assets.
Demo assets, data module demo. What is this? No. No.
Revenue.
No, that was data module, I think. Hold on.
I can find, or just.
Hold on. I just need a package. So I will show you this really fast, and then I will talk about some additional extensions that I'm planning that tie in with data sets. Okay. So the dataset editor is actually Report Studio. It's the same tool, but all that is happening is it's just hiding a whole bunch of options. So we'll make order, no, that's too much. Order method type, save as my data set. Really?
Oh, there's only one place you'll be able to save it, so go back to, if it's anonymous, go to
Oops.
team content, bacon workshops, and users.
Users,
Yeah.
okay.
And save it anywhere there.
My data set. All right, so we go back to my data set and edit. If I can remember how to do this perspective. Authoring, this changes from version to version. In one version, you have to open it in authoring, and one of the flags here is and data sets equals true. But I can never remember off the top of my head, and I would have to. I think they changed it again in 11.1.3, and I just haven't found the time to figure out how to hack it.
You can show the one with
Yeah.
the Control Alt M there right now.
Does that still work in? Okay. So in 11.1.3, you can do Control Alt M, and that will hide and show the menu system, or Control Shift Alt M, and that shows you the regular Report Studio interface. You can go to Queries, one query, and you can add items however you want. But to get those items from the query into the list, you have to open F12, Element Selector, and in here you have Insertable Objects tab Data Items. That is super secret with Display None. You uncheck Display None. And, oh come on, this worked in 11.1.2.
It is too. That's what it is.
Hmm?
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Could be a Wi-Fi thing right now.
could be a Wi-Fi thing, I don't know. I'm not sure why we're not seeing the data items in here. But I would expect to see them. Again, it could be the Wi-Fi, or it could just be they've messed things up in 11.1.3.
I didn't mean to take you off track. I thought
I'm very disappointed in you. All right. So speaking about data sets and data modules, another extension that I'm working on is working with the data modules themselves. I've been building them, and at a certain client that I will leave nameless, we've been running into several bugs with the data modules. Specifically when it comes to copying and pasting the items, it seems that it creates the copy with the same name, and that just messes things up. And sometimes certain items will become orphaned in the tree, and you can't find them anymore, but they're still technically in the data module. One of the extensions that I'm working on will be to identify those items and push them back into the right place, and a batch editor for the expression. So you can see in a simple interface like I have for the parameters, all the calculations, and you'll be able to edit them very quickly. Does anyone else have any simple tasks that they run into that could use an extension? No? Yes, sir.
So when you delete like queries or report objects, you expect all reference items to be deleted too, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that does not get deleted is variables, and you have to manually go and delete all the variables.
Yeah.
Is there something that when you give, is there an extension that tells us all the objects that reference a particular component?
I should be able to write something that does that. The issue with the variables is that the variable is actually a report expression. And when you're in a variable, you can reference a data item in two ways. Query item name.field or just field. And using the just field is good for when you have multiple queries that have the same data item names and you want to use the same variable across them. So I can't guarantee that you'd be able to identify all places that reference that data item in report expressions, simply because the report expression might not use the full path of the field. Okay? Any other questions? I'm looking at you guys because you promised to heckle me.
I know. Well, since you mentioned it, where's the JavaScript that auto-submits the PMR you always suggest us to?
So this is the client that I talked about running into a lot of problems, and I lost my title as CognosPaul and became PMR Paul while working there. Yeah, it was embarrassing. All right, so I seem to have run very fast.
Do you have to know how to write Java to be able to add these extensions in or do anything with them? Like I know you showed how to put them in, but if I needed to support them or anything like that, what do I have to know technically to be able to do that?
In order to support these extensions, you have to know something very specific. Support at pmsquare.com or CognosPaul at cognospaul.com. I can't promise that everything will work perfectly the first time you try it. I have tested the extensions extensively, and we use them pretty much all of our clients at this point in PM Square. Yes, go ahead.
Do you have any suggestions to have prompt pages load faster? Is there ways to?
There are.
Besides data, just the formatting, or anything else besides like caching the data?
Caching the data would be the first place that I go to. The question was, how can we make prompt pages load faster? The easiest way to make a prompt page load faster would be to cache the prompt values. Starting in version 10. Something, there is a way of running a report to save the prompt values. I think there is also a way of specifying that a specific query is used for prompt, so Cognos knows to cache those values. I have not had much success with that. So it's certainly worth trying.
Yeah, I've had a lot of luck with setting the queries that I'm using for prompt pages, I set to, I think there's like, I don't remember what the parameter is in report authoring or studio, but basically that you can say that's used for parameters, whatever.
Yeah,
they're
use for
there.
parameter info.
And then I set, but you have to specifically set the other one to not use it for that. That's the only time that I've had
Yeah.
good luck with it, is I had to go in and say, don't use that main giant query for parameters. And that's gotten me around a lot of things with cascading prompts too, where I've had issues where if they're not joined, it's crashing out when I'm trying to do that. So if you set that, but like I said, you have to go to every query, and then once you set it on one, you kind of have to very specifically set it on the others as well. I don't know if anybody else has had experience with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, we upgraded to 11, since we have upgraded to 11, we've noticed that on some of our more advanced prompt pages, the response time is quadrupled.
Interesting.
It's become incredibly long.
Can you come to the Genius Bar and we'll talk about it more?
Sure.
I appreciate that. All right. Does anyone else have anything? If not, I would say let's stop for coffee. Yes, Nick.
I got one more.
Go ahead, Nick.
The custom controls that you showed, the searchable controls.
Yeah.
I know PM Square put out a blog post on those, on how to get those implemented. Has there been any thought to being able to, since they are JavaScript bound and kind of delivered, to being able to select a default value?
All right.
Well, we didn't hear the question back.
The question was, for the search prompts, is there any way to set a default value? Because it is JavaScript, we have a lot more ways of controlling this. So there are two ways of setting the default value in these prompts. So these are both prompts that I've written, and Nick, you're familiar with this one. There are two ways of running this. What I'm doing in the background is, let's see if I can show you, components library. In this one, I'm just pulling all of the data into the prompt directly using a data set. I could very easily set this to use a hidden prompt in the background, pull the data from that hidden prompt, and then on that hidden prompt, set the default value. So there are a lot of different ways that we can do it.
I was just thinking maybe even just selecting the first one, so that something is selected
And if
in certain cases.
That's actually what I'm doing with this one, where I have the time. This is the first value in the hierarchy. This is the all member. And in this one, control click to multi-select. Again, with JavaScript, we have a lot of different things that we can do, play with, that we don't really have in Cognos directly. I have been promised that IBM is working on new and better ways of using Cognos, and there might be new controls coming out, but so far, the JavaScript controls are all we have. Anything else? All right, I would say let's stop and get coffee. Oh, there was a question how to become more like CognosPaul. Lots of coffee and an unhealthy obsession with digging into the Cognos internal files on your free time. Yep. That's it.